At 9:13 a.m., a major tech corporation froze mid-breath. $48 million had vanished. But that ID didn't belong to anyone. Every path led to a blank space. Someone had walked into the corporation, existed convincingly for 6 weeks, drained millions, clocked out for lunch, and then evaporated. No record of employment, nothing. The investigator reviewing the footage whispered the line that stuck like a splinter under the industry's skin. He shouldn't be real. Within hours, he earned a name. They called him the corporate ghost. A man with no birth records, no data footprint in a world where even newborns leave one. Executives he impersonated swore they had never seen him. Even the ones who had signed his contract couldn't describe him beyond vague fragments. He was defined entirely by absence. He slipped into corporations through a role that raised no alarms. Consultant, harmless, temporary. The kind of person companies trust because they're supposed to. But the truth was colder. He didn't advise companies. He dissected them. He studied people, carefully, clinically, without emotion. He learned what executives feared, what they hid, what they obeyed. Then he shaped himself into the exact person they needed. They let him in, and they let him in willingly. The first crack in the case appeared when a young analyst cross-referenced 3 unrelated companies he'd robbed. Each one had hired a consultant after an internal crisis, a crisis so small it barely registered. And every crisis, they discovered, had been engineered. The ghost created the fire, then arrived as the man who claimed he could put it out. But the strangest detail wasn't the pattern. It was the memory gap. Dozens of employees described meeting him. Not one could recall his face clearly. He was present, yet undefined, as if he understood how to position himself just outside the edges of attention. The breakthrough came when investigators traced his infiltration method. He profiled CEOs by sifting through forgotten internal documents, exit interviews, HR complaints, and confidential letters. He learned what kept them awake at night. He learned what they longed for or feared or tried to hide behind polished statements. Then he built a persona to mirror their needs. He created consultancy identities with zero digital trail by reviving the names of long-dead employees, people whose careers were buried under decades of obsolete archives. Their profiles were invisible, so he made them real again. And companies welcomed him with open doors because the corporate ghost understood something terrifying. People don't trust data. People trust the person who seems to understand them. And he always became that person. Always. Until the moment he vanished. In the aftermath of the theft, corporations react the only way they know how. More systems, more protocols, more locks. Firewalls multiply, access logs are reviewed hourly. Executives demand audits, background checks, fresh verifications. It doesn't matter. He moves through the new defenses with the same calm precision as before because he never fights the systems themselves. He studies the people guarding them. He maps their fears, their habits, their shortcuts, then steps effortlessly through the cracks they create without realizing it. People begin to feel watched without knowing why. Files they swore they never opened show activity under their names. Meetings vanish from calendars, only to be replaced by new ones no one claims to have scheduled. Old arguments resurface at exactly the wrong moments, as if someone had been listening and replayed them for maximum damage. He builds trust with the vulnerable, flatters the overlooked, comforts the anxious. And once they lean on him, whoever they think he is, he nudges them exactly where he needs them. Investigators finally connect the first threads, and what they find feels impossible. The access patterns link back to employees who died years ago. Every credential, every timestamp, every validation checks out on paper. He walks through the digital architecture wearing identities pulled from corporate graves. A ghost moving through the living. He selects a rising executive, brilliant but exhausted, and begins to dismantle her from the inside. He studies the mistakes she fears making. Then he fabricates them for her. Documents appear bearing her signature, transfers, approvals, decisions she never remembers authorizing. She spends nights replaying memories that don't exist, convinced she must have missed something crucial. Her confidence erodes, her sanity frays. When she finally breaks, she's escorted out quietly, respectfully, as if the company is doing her a kindness. Her clearance doesn't leave with her. Audit logs begin raising questions. Numbers don't align. Reports contradict each other. Something is clearly wrong. One by one, the audit leads are replaced with people the CEO trusts, or thinks he trusts. Every recommendation, every promotion, every internal reshuffle began with the same invisible hand. By the time the CEO realizes he's surrounded by strangers loyal to someone he's never met, the structure of his leadership has already been rewritten. The ghost holds the pen. Investigators finally capture a trace, one clean, undeniable path linking the interference to a restricted elevator. They rush to the building, certain they've cornered him at last. The cameras show a man entering with complete authorization, badge newly printed, credentials flawless. He moves with the ease of someone who belongs there. By the time the investigators reach the elevator, he's already far beyond their reach. Not stealing, not fleeing. He's placing a single failsafe deep inside the infrastructure. One command that will erase everything the moment he steps back through the doors. For the first time, they understand the truth. They weren't chasing him. He was leading them. The alarms barely have time to register before the failsafe activates. System logs vanish mid-line. Backup drives shorten their own lifespans to 0. Internal recordings dissolve into static without a single error message. The company's entire digital memory implodes in seconds. It isn't sabotage. It isn't theft. It's a surgical removal, an identity cut neatly out of the organism, leaving no scar except the faint ache of something missing. He doesn't escape the system. He amputates himself from it. By morning, the corporation stands hollow. Investors panic first. The CEO follows, stepping down under the weight of questions he can't answer. The staff begins to fear the simplest things. Emails they never sent, decisions they don't remember making, meetings that feel like someone else attended them. Investigators sift through fragments. They stop looking for data and start looking at patterns of behavior, shifts that shouldn't exist, transformations that make no human sense. They discover the truth left behind by the accident. Before each disappearance, he doesn't just wipe logs. He wipes himself. Handwriting styles that contradict each other. Posture that changes from one week to the next. Speech patterns with no consistent origin. He sheds identities the way most people shed habits, discarding each version as soon as it serves its purpose. A man who ensures no single self survives long enough to be caught. He isn't hiding from the world. He's hiding from the person he was 5 minutes ago. Months later, in a quiet corporate tower, far from the disaster, a front desk employee receives a new consulting inquiry. No metadata, just a name that means nothing to any database. She hesitates. Something about him feels unnervingly familiar, like a memory half erased, still echoing in the part of the brain that notices danger before reason catches up. She waves him through. The final thought lands with the weight of everything they never proved. He wasn't running from investigators. He was running from the person he used to be. And the most dangerous criminals are the ones who erase themselves before you can catch them.